Call the meeting of the October 27th meeting of the Centralia Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Dale Hughes.
Here.
Guy Lee.
Here.
Harvey Million.
Present.
Lee Allen Smith.
Here.
Don Bagley.
Here.
Tim Grinke.
Present.
James Lee.
Here.
Mark Mustaine.
Here.
We have a quorum. All members appointed are in attendance.
Please pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes of previous meeting, August 11th, 2016. I saw two minor things. I don't even know if it's important or not. It says at the beginning of the minutes that there was only one Mr. Lee here. But further towards the bottom, it said that Mr. Lee seconded a motion and Mr. Lee was an aye. Should say which Mr. Lee, because we already said which one wasn't here. Less confusing.
Yes.
All right.
Make that adjustment. What's the, we get to that page.
Close to the end. Any other additions or changes to the minutes from the previous meeting?
I move we accept the minutes as amended.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on. Conditional use permit application for Missouri Network Utility Transport, LLC of Chicago, Illinois, to construct a communications tower, a utility pole in the application at 220 South Allen Street. This is a discussion item only. The applicant, Missouri Network Utility Transport LLC, has withdrawn their application for conditional use permit in email sent on Wednesday, October 26th. Because notice of the public hearing had been sent to property owners and residents within 185 feet, and because it had been advertised twice in Centralia Fireside Guard and posted on the website, we will allow public comment for those Centralia residents, excuse me, and any other interested parties at this meeting. The applicant has indicated they would like to apply again and are seeking guidance from the city on what would be a more acceptable proposal, particularly as it pertains to size and location. Guidance from the public as to what is acceptable will help us to do that. Therefore, we will permit anyone who wishes to speak to do so. So we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and that you minimize repeating what others have said. If you prepare a formal response to the application, we'll allow that. Excuse me, but please let us know for how long you wish to speak before you start. We will encourage speakers to keep to these time limits. Please state your name and address for the record. We will also ask that you write your name, sign-in sheet at the front door, so we can record it in the minutes. Before I open the public meeting, I would ask if there's a staff report.
We did not perform a formal staff report. However, the application was submitted to us on October 4th, asking for a tower that would be a 79-foot wooden pole set in the right-of-way. It was called a utility pole, but the description seemed to fit what we would call a telecommunications tower, which would require a conditional use permit. The current ordinance that we are operating under in Missouri state law, I should say that our current ordinance probably will need to be updated to keep up with changes in Missouri state law, which have taken some of the authority of cities to regulate similar structures or said communications tower. So it wouldn't be a bad idea if at some point during the meeting, if the commission would ask for a recommendation to change it to get a change in our zoning law, the Board of Aldermen refers it to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning develops an ordinance and passes it and sends it up to back up to the Board of Aldermen. So it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to ask them to initiate that process. This particular application, after review, we noted some things like where we had some questions about it, and that we would have objected to, and the applicant withdrew the application and indicated that they liked the site. They might want to change height, and there's some other options that they would like to negotiate with the city, come up with some sort of amicable solution. But their goal is to make money, but they make money by putting up these towers. There is a benefit, there's a potential benefit to the public in that if you have the carrier that they're working with, your cell reception might be improved. So I don't want to speak on their behalf, I also don't want to make it sound like there's, so that's where we're at. And then we received their request for withdrawal too late to inform the public not to come. So I think the chairman is it'd be a good idea to give people who came a chance to speak. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
Just by further reference, my name is Randall Thompson. I'm the new city attorney, and I reviewed the application for a conditional use permit. And as Matt indicated, there were some areas of the application which were not complete. And then since they are asking for a conditional use permit for a telecommunications tower, they had not followed our ordinance with respect to telecommunication towers. There's an application process. So there's additional information that they have to provide as part of that application process, which is why we asked them to supplement their application, then we could take it up. And then they asked to have it withdrawn. But in the last two legislative sessions, in 2014 and 2015, the legislature has passed new telecommunications acts, which change the manner in which cities can grant telecommunication tower locations and siting. And so, as Matt indicated, it might be a good idea for the city to bring their code up to date, because there have been a lot of changes. And last time our code was changed, I think was in 2001. So there have been a lot of changes since that time. That's all I have.
Is this the same company that approached this board about a tower on?
Collier Street.
Right about where we have the swimming pool now.
Yeah, where the water leak is.
Okay, so this isn't, somebody wants to build one over there, somebody wants to build one over here.
It's same company. It is the same company.
That's what I'm asking.
This is a smaller structure, and I'm not a telecommunications expert, but it serves a slightly different purpose, more local. The original application was a steel pole, and I'm going from memory here, but I believe it was 120 feet tall with a 10-foot concrete base. So yeah, this is a wood pole that's 79 feet tall. Yeah.
So I think it was a 36-inch base, 10 feet in the ground. I don't think it was quite that big at the bottom, but close.
What did I say?
You said 10-foot base.
A deep. I'm sorry. Yeah, it wasn't heavy. I apologize. Being big.
This is a discussion item, so I just basically open to the public, correct?
Yes.
Anyone have a discussion on this topic?
Do you have any input that you wanted to give about this for me?
Can offer. Brent Hirschman, Martin Kirk Bank, and I just wanted to make sure, I believe our lawyer submitted some letters that wanted to be entered into the minutes. That was all I had.
I'm Carly Conklin. I own the old guard building, and I just wondered what the pole would actually look like, and if it would have any larger structure on top of it, and where exactly it would be in relation to the bank and the old guard building.
The diagrams we were given were spruce.
It is a Douglas fir.
Douglas fir, there we go. The Douglas fir
So
pole.
just a wooden pole.
It's 85 foot and it sticks out of the ground, 75, 79, well 75 within the structure.
It'd be buried 10.5 feet deep.
Um,
And with the antenna, it was 79 feet tall, so.
To put that in reference, the bigger utility poles that I've looked at, just guessing, are probably about less than half that height. So you're talking,
Right.
What's the utility poles behind Martinsburg Bank? Is that-
Those are 40-foot poles, which they're only about 34 feet. So above grade.
so
So yeah, half of, not even half really, of what this height would be. And it would have been in the, basically the grass strip between the curb and the sidewalk right in front of Martinsburg Bank.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, you have expertise on this. Would that pole stand alone or would it need guys on
No, it would stand alone.
but as far as we know, they're not dead set on that area or that height, or,
Well, they kind of asked for what was, they wanted me to give guidance on what the city would like. And I don't wanna, I'm not sure how much, I don't wanna betray confidence or anything like that, or negotiate, the public. They like that general area, but, they, you know, height and space, I think it's important that we tell them what is acceptable to us. You know,
area or height?
yes, both. And then to the extent, I mean, I think they're gonna, we may ask for more than we can legally insist on, and they may be willing to work with us to avoid, because they can't have anything they want. So we have some leverage, but not as much as we used to. The other thing is, I don't think that this company is as, they have not come across as being belligerent, how's that? They've come across as wanting to be somewhat cooperative. Is that,
I'm not trying to speak for the board, but the conversations I've had with citizens, board members of this board and the other board, I haven't really talked to anybody that's in favor of anything remotely residential or business district. Unless I'm being misguided.
What do you mean by that? As far as these types of towers?
That type of tower, I mean, you're talking 85-foot tower, that's borderline residential business district.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, it's both. I mean, it depends which side of the street you're on. You know, planting 85-foot towers in residential areas or in business district. People I've talked to, my own personal opinion, I just don't think it's, one, aesthetic, or two, safe. When this thing falls down.
It's got a notice on it, it says, stay back, radio frequency energy.
Yeah, if we have a-
Exceed exposure limits.
We have a 40-foot utility pole fall now, it's what, 35 foot tall? Well, we're expanding that out to, now it's gonna fall 85 feet in some direction if it were to fall.
Right, yeah, I just wanted to get clear, I wasn't quite following what you were suggesting. I'm curious as to the state statutes, and why, you kind of alluded to, we have to follow those, that we don't really have jurisdiction, our own jurisdiction. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Or anyone else.
Well, yeah, as a fourth class city, the state kind of tells us what we can and can't do. And that's where we stand right now. with
There's a short primer on that is that we're a statutory city, meaning that we're created by state statute. And so statutory cities, as opposed to charter cities, like cities that form their own charter, statutory cities only have the powers given to them by the state legislature. And so the state legislature tells us what we can and can't do. And so if they pass a statute telling us what we can or can't do with telecommunications towers, I mean, that's what we have to follow. But in this particular instance, this company is making these sorts of applications throughout Missouri. They're trying to locate in right-of-ways So that's the issue, they want to locate in a right of way. It's not like they have a lease with someone and they want to locate somewhere where they have a leased location, you know, in a non-business or residential area. So it's a very inexpensive way for them to try to locate telecommunications towers, because what they plan to do is locate a telecommunications tower, go through all the regulatory hoops, and then they're gonna sell space on their tower to other companies. That's how they plan to make money. And I don't wanna go too far because there's not an application pending, so I don't really wanna prejudice you
No,
on
and
what
that's-
staff might think.
No, that's fine. All I really wanna know is, what are we being told then by the state that, what regulations do we have to abide by? I mean,
Yeah, and generally speaking, with a broad brush, we can still enforce our zoning so far as location, appearance, that sort of thing. We cannot keep a telecommunications tower from being located in Centralia. Now,
But
there,
can we restrict the height?
probably not. We can restrict location. Siting is really what we have the authority to deal with.
So that's what you're kind of talking about, the process of getting the Board of Aldermen involved, then maybe change the zoning ordinance. I mean, even if we came up, I mean, just for example, if we said M1 only or something, we could possibly put that type of stipulation in the zoning.
Well, I think what Matt's talking about is in dealing with this company, find them another location that's not in a right of way, that's such a poor location for the city. Find them someplace that's not as much of an eyesore or a safety hazard.
And one compromise that may be available to us in Centralia that isn't available to other places, because they do like right-of-way for the reasons that Randall was saying. We have a lot of alley right-of-way, and we have a lot of utility poles close to or in some of that alley right-of-way. So that maybe we can find something there in an area where it's not nearly as visible. Of course, what we used to be able to do, and we cannot do, for example, is say, prove to me that you need a tower here. We used to be able to do that. The state legislature said, that's none of your business. You're, as a municipal government, that's your meddling in things that municipal governments should, I'm putting words in the mouth of the legislature, but that's essentially what they said. So now, it's up to them to decide where they want to put it. But we can say, we can have zoning rules and say you can't put it in a residential neighborhood.
Hasn't been tested legally, because many municipalities say, no, you can't do it.
This particular company is working with all the entities they've contacted to try to find a location. I'm not aware of any place where they've located something in the right of way, because the Telecommunications Act does not give private entities the power of eminent domain, meaning to take property for what they want. And that's kind of what this might amount to, is a taking of property if we don't agree to it. So that's not been tested.
And just for clarification, let's say that they did come in and they put this tower up at this proposed location. What would the revenue be for the city? Thank you.
At this point.
If we make them get a building permit, we might get $40
There you go.
or 50. I think. So essentially none, yes.
You know, their first proposal had a location that was, I would say, was more palatable than their second location.
And I told them that does exactly it.
But it also had a 40-foot taller tower. Did the tower get shorter because it's more centrally located? Or did that ever factor in?
I would say cost, because they're going from a metal tower to a pole, basically, correct?
Well, he explained it to me, and there's two different kinds of purposes for them. But I am not a telecommunications expert, and some of those facts have slipped from my mind. But there was, I think there's a qualitative difference in how much what they serve. But for our purposes, yeah, it's shorter and it's made of wood instead of metal.
What's our power of control should they decide to go on private property?
Right, that's what we were talking about earlier. We can influence where they put it by our zoning laws.
On private property, too, yeah, I don't know.
But if they find someone willing to lease them property,
Yeah.
to erect a tower, and it's not someplace that we object to as far as zoning is concerned. We really can't stop them.
We have to treat all of the companies equally, we have to have, we can't make up the rules as they go, obviously. And we can't force co-location, and we can't force them to put we can't force them to put it on another structure or something like that.
You couldn't put height restrictions in every district in the town, but we could put height restrictions in residential areas or downtown areas.
We have those now.
We do have some,
Yeah,
height restrictions, but we can't, we can say as long as it fits whatever the height restriction in that district. Their application is in B1, and I believe for certain things, you can build something as high as 100 feet in B1.
Yeah.
I didn't check it today, but I'm pretty sure it's 100 feet. And I think it's 100 feet in M1 and B2 also. There are a couple of things that we granted additional height to,
With the elevator.
like the elevator,
Yeah.
certain things that are naturally tall. I don't think we included towers. If that were the case, it would be as high as 150. And in M1 or B2.
But those things aren't in the right of way.
Right, yeah, none of those are in the right
That's
of
an
way.
additional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A point that was made by the attorney for Martinsburg Bank, and I'm not an attorney, and I try not to pretend to be one. But my understanding of his argument is it's not clear if we can, if that's our property to give them to use for that. We got that property to use for putting a road and sidewalk, for transportation purposes. It's an easement, granted, and there are some places out there where you own a fee simple right away, but most of the time it's an easement on property that would, if we said we don't need Allen Street anymore, theoretically half of that land would go back to Martinsburg Bank. So it's not, one of the things we ask is, can you prove to us that we can let you do that?
We did ask for that, what authority they had to locate there.
Thank you. One question then, at this point, if they are to reapply or anything, that's gonna just start the whole process over, it isn't a continuation? Okay.
We start over as far as time goes.
But before they do that, we need to know what is allowable under state statute. And draw our ordinance around that.
State statute tells us what we can't do,
Right.
that's the way the laws are written. It doesn't tell us what we
Right.
can do,
That's
so
what I'm saying.
it's
We
not
need to know what
it's
we-
not as easy to interpret this
Right.
as what it would be.
And which is a recommendation you wanted from us?
Yeah, if somebody were willing to, I don't have to have that, but if you guys make a motion to ask the Board of Aldermen to ask you to draft a new telecommunications tower ordinance, or, that would work. We could proceed in that, yes.
Looks like a motion.
I'll make a motion for that.
No motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Since that's not a public hearing, you'll have to, just in discussion? Move in discussion. Conditional use permit for Centralia R6 School District, Centralia, Missouri, construct a display sign within the setback allowed. Excuse me. And of greater size and thickness than allowed without conditional use permit, 510 South Rollins, Chance Elementary School. Their staff report on this.
There's not a formal staff report, but I would say that the application actually only asks for the additional thickness and the proximity to the street. Doesn't actually ask for the sign face. During the discussion, one of the original drawings had a brick facade around it, and depending upon how you determine what's supporting and what's part of the sign face, that would have required it to be larger than the 25 square feet allowed. At this point, they are not proposing to have the brick facade around it, or the brick, no, that's not probably the right word, but, so they are only asking for the thickness and they're their sign face is 4 by 6, so it's 24 square feet. I don't know if any of you have gone past the site. There is ample indication of where the sign would go. There's a little orange fence and a hole dug there. But so they have made the proper application for a conditional use permit to be allowed to build within they have the right to build within 5 feet of the front yard, which allows them to be 20 feet from the property line. This would be 5 feet from the property line, so that's one of the requests for a conditional use. And then the other one is that the thickness is supposed to only be 4 inches, and I think this is, what is this?
10.5, because
10.
it's one of those signs that has the changeable letters,
Yeah.
and so it's double-sided, so you can see it from both sides, so.
We have granted a conditional use permit to the high school in 2004 for the sign where the champions' names are located. That was granted because it was thicker than it was supposed to be. It would have otherwise been allowed. It was taller than would otherwise would be allowed, and because it was a second sign, and they were only granted, they were only allowed to have one. They were only had the right to one without a conditional use. And that is, the staff has no objection to this. There's question about whether they would eventually want to illuminate the sign with an outside light facing on it. If you guys would want to make, obviously there's not anyone here who is objecting. We have received no written or, we have received no objections from anybody in the public, and there's no written objections, so the decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission, affirmative decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission would grant them a chance to do so. Of course, if you deny it, or if there was a written objection, the school could proceed towards the Board of Adjustment to get a variance.
I have a question.
Yes.
If they were wanting to light this, what about internally lighting it? Like we've approved other signs that are internally lit, so it's reflected through, and you can see what's on there versus having spotlights put on it.
You may make,
Still gonna have public hearing?
yes, we're still gonna have public hearing. This is still staff report, but yeah, you may make additional conditions on the permit, and then the permit will be issued with those. And I don't have any specific recommendations on the amount of lumens or anything like that. My understanding is at this time, there is wiring to do that in the future, but they are not asking to have any illumination at this time.
I think we open the public hearing, we can probably get a description.
Yeah.
At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing.
I'm sorry, one thing, I apologize. One more thing I would like to say, it was advertised twice in the Centralia Fireside Guard, dates of which are the ads are in the packet. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was, we did mail out letters to people within 185 feet, residents and property owners. We do know that we received back 32 of the 43 return receipt authorizations, so they go out and it was posted on the site. Okay, sorry.
Open the public hearing. The applicant would like to go first, and then anyone who would like to speak in favor of the proposal. After proponents speak, I would open the floor to comments from those who wish to speak in opposition. If your comments are neutral or just have any questions, you may address the commission in either group. Please state your name and address for the record. We'd also ask you to write your name on the sign-in sheet so we can accurately record it for the meeting minutes.
I recorded it, you want me to state it too? Tiffany Schumann, I'm the principal at Chance, and I put the school address down, if that's okay. 510 South Rollins. So, first of all, I apologize that we have a big hole sitting there. It was a total accident. We thought we'd done everything and didn't realize we needed the sign permits. When we found out, we stopped the digging, and that's why it's all orange around it. Second, I guess I should say, I'm also here on behalf of our PTO, because they're the ones that actually bought the sign, and they're the ones that really wanted it, and that's the spot that they chose, so that's kind of part of that. I didn't know if you guys had a copy of what it looks like. So that's exactly what it's gonna look like. Originally, like you said, we were gonna put, we were trying to make it look nice. And so we were gonna put brick on the sides and under, because we found it was cheaper if we did our own brick, and we were trying to save money. And so we were gonna do that, but then when I found the size would be an issue, the bricks really, it wasn't that important. So it's something we could always come back and ask later maybe, but my husband also informed me it may not work, so I decided just to kick it for right now, and we just really just want the sign up. But I was trying to think, oh, the lighting. I'm pretty sure I did have, because these are where you put the changeable letters, and it would have a spot, but at the time when I was ordering the sign, we would have to have wiring go to it, which would mean it'd have to go under our sidewalk, which would mean my sidewalk would have to be dug up, and I'm thinking that's a lot of time and a lot of stuff and money. And so I told him to go ahead and have it to be able to be lit, but I didn't expect that it would actually happen for maybe even ever, I'm not sure. So the PTO was just kind of thinking we could even just add a little spotlight on the sign, like something you'd have in the yard, kind of. But by all means, the lighting is not an issue for us. If you guys don't want lighting, we do not have to have lighting. We just would like that sign, at least to
So
show
it
it
has,
today.
it will have internal lighting in it, it just won't be wired up.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. Correct.
And then you may just, like a solar light or something you're talking
Yeah,
about.
like we were gonna mulch around it and stuff like that. We thought about putting a little solar, but we don't
Right.
have to.
So, yeah.
Remind me, there's, Tiffany, I guess, whichever. Are there two sign faces or one?
It's double.
Yeah, okay.
So you'll see this on both sides, because we can put events and information, and yeah. And that's why we wanted it, and I don't know if you want a picture of where it's at or anything, but I have some, but that's why we wanted it so. We have a drop-off lane in the morning, and this is right near the crosswalk, and the cars stop right in front of the crosswalk, so the cars would literally be stopping right in front of the sign to see our important events. And if we have to put it the 20 feet back, it's gonna be like right in front of the building, and you won't notice it, so. And if we kept it there and put it 20 feet back, because I thought of that too, we'd have to dig up this tree. And we would have to, I'm assuming there's lots of roots, and it was gonna cause a lot of issues, so. Any other questions? Oh, I put this other one because if we did it on the other side of the sidewalk, we still have a tree there, so we have to put it away from the tree, which means it'd be like in the middle of the building, up by the building, which we didn't think parents would notice that at all, so.
One other thing I'd say, I guess, while we're in the public hearing, they're required to also have a sign permit. Sign permit has not been acted on by the staff pending the conditional use permit decision by the planning and zoning commission.
So just to clarify, the only, I guess, there are a couple of things that are kind of outside the ordinance, and that would be the width of the sign itself.
Yes.
And then the location of it.
Exactly.
And those are the only two things that are,
That is correct. That's all they're asking for, actually, and that's what's in their application.
okay.
The thickness, not the width, right?
Or, I guess, yeah, the thickness of
Thickness.
the, yeah,
So-
thickness is a better word, yeah,
Yeah.
the width of the sign is 4'6" and 4x6.
So if they decide at some point they do want to light in front, they have to come back to us, or?
Well,
Is it a-
It's a good question, because it doesn't really speak to that in the,
It might be retired.
let me see if it has anything about.
It might just be easier to address in
Address it now,
But
not
it's-
right now, and not try to come back.
5
I
years.
agree, discussion now.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many lumens the sign produces in case?
Maybe.
Because
Well,
we
this is
could
my
only.
order form, so that's not.
Okay,
anything
yeah.
that's-
Since that is the,
How many properties on the opposite side of
No,
Rollins
that's-
Street
that's
does
what
the
he
school
did.
district own?
I'm sorry. What was the question?
The properties on the opposite side of
I
Rollins
might have
Street,
took it out.
there's
Because
several
one
that
was
the school
on-
district already owns.
Two,
There-
I think, isn't it?
There's one in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
I
There's
think I
one
know
where
that. I don't
that's
see it on there.
just south of that, and I think they have a property on, I sent out the, on,
I think they
Information
own
is
the
sitting in there.
property just north
So,
of the lot.
so maybe it's not even available to
Vacant
me.
lot.
let me,
Both corners of it, Barnett Street.
I actually think, I was looking at the order, because I went back and forth about the electrical. I think I actually took it out because I didn't think we would ever get it. I don't mean to sound like negative or anything, but I just thought it was gonna be a lot, and we're an old building, so I didn't even know if it would get out there, but
I don't believe
He
illumination
saw
is
it.
addressed.
it said electrical information on order form and it's blank, so I must have took it out. I'm just not remembering, so.
Public government bodies are included, not limited, either illuminated or non-illuminated. Is the sign that you have would be a permitted accessory use. So in the original permitted accessory use, it could be illuminated or non-illuminated, and there's no guidance as to how bright it can be. They are asking that, so that would be, they would have the right, if she put this 20 feet from the street and made it 4 inches wide, it could still be illuminated. So that would not require, additional.
Any more discussion? Any motion closed?
Ask if there's any additional comment. Is that everything you
Unless
need?
there's, do I need to
Yeah.
clarify anything else, or?
Anybody besides me?
Is there anyone else want to speak? Not just us. I apologize. Now we need a motion, correct?
And then you may close it.
It's closed, okay, thank you. Parliament procedure, not a strong time. We'll close the public hearing at this time, and move on to B, commission decision.
I make a motion for approval of the conditional use permit.
Have a motion?
I'll second
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
it.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Do we need a roll call?
No.
Yeah, because it's unanimous. So, yeah. All right,
Thank you.
I will issue the permit tomorrow.
My PTO will be very happy, so.
Moving on to number 6, comprehensive plan committees.
I was just going to make a quick comment that I think the process going along well in terms of the timing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There will be a meeting of the several committees together on November 15th. By that time, most of the committees will have met at least 3 times, and a couple of them will have met 4 times. Last night, the land use and transportation committee met, and I think they are doing a fabulous job of coming through with, there's a lot of stuff in that plan that is kind of is asked of them, and they've done a great job. The economic development and financial resources has been discussing, had a nice discussion about the economic development strategy for the city, particularly with more emphasis on entrepreneurial development. So that discussion is coming along. And then utilities, all of the groups are doing well, and I'm going to bring back some good pieces of recommendations to put to a cohesive document, I believe. I'm impressed by the level of participation, and I'm not stunned, but it's just nice to see that much talent come out of Centralia and people who put that into this process. I also noticed that, for instance, we were talking to the land use transportation committee last night about one of the key issues that they see is the congestion at Jefferson and Jefferson-Singleton area for drop-off at the middle school. That was also identified as an issue by the Community Facilities and Emergency Management Group, because that's the school, actually Nathan Gordon, the principal of the middle school, is the chair of that committee. So I'm also seeing some overlap between committees, and so that's going to be, I think we're going to have a really good document. And I think we're going to have a document that has the input of a lot of the citizens, and that will make it, and this board, and the Board of Aldermen, this commission, and the Board of Aldermen, and so I think that it will become a blueprint from which we make decisions in the future. That was it.
Is there a calendar of all the committee meetings?
I will send that out. Yes, I don't have it. Yes, there is. I don't have it in my head.
There's no physical somewhere. I will. I don't know if I've printed that out. I will send that. I'll make sure that, because it's been updated, because a couple of committees have changed their dates. I sent a first update that had the dates as far as I knew it. It was time to do a second update with the remaining meetings that have been scheduled. And then get that available for the public. So the November 15th meeting would be one that we would encourage the public to attend. At that point, there'll be a couple more, we'll start putting the document together, and then that will go to this commission probably January-ish, maybe December, but probably January, and then to the Board of Aldermen, I'm thinking sometime in February. Probably the February meeting. That's the calendar. But yeah, I'll get staff needs to do a little bit better at getting all the meetings out there so people can participate. People who are not just the people who are on the committees, but other members of the public. And that's what you're asking about. Yes. Any more discussion on comprehensive plan committee? Number 7 has Mayor Rice. We have a motion and we're moving forward. We're going to move forward on updating you already took care of that, so yeah, never mind. I'm good.
Move we adjourn.
Have a motion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?